Hello everybody, this is me, Amin.
And this is Alex.
And welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About. And in this episode, it's going to be a follow-up from a show that we did about a month back. 4 weeks ago, we talked about how a prominent doctor lost about 13,000 ringgit from a phishing scam. So the doctor claimed that it's scary because the transfer didn't require a one-time password to initiate the transfer. And we talked about during that episode how you need to transfer money online, right? And I'm sure all of you are familiar how to do it, right? So you put in a request to the bank via an online portal. First, you log in, you put in a request, and then after that, the bank will send you like a one-time password that you have to key in into the bank portal, and then the transaction happens. So what has happened a month after that? Bank Negara has announced a number of new, I guess, SOPs or new, I think we'll call it SOPs, new regulations or rules pertaining to online banking. Because scams have been increasing and it's been a worrying thing going on in Malaysia, and I think scammers are getting more and more sophisticated in terms of how they're doing this. We talked about how to prevent or how to avoid yourself from being scammed, but yeah, ultimately I think the bank should be also responsible, and I applaud Bank Negara for taking the first steps to do this. The sad thing is, I think a couple of days after Bank Negara announced this new regulations for online banking, only 2 banks in Malaysia has said that, okay, they're going to start doing this. Okay, so let's get to the bottom of this and see whether this is going to change anything and what you should do, right? So Alex, can you maybe just go through the steps that Bank Negara has put in place in light of the current increase in scams happening in the country?
Okay, so essentially, these are like the new preventive measures to address the scam issues. So this was actually announced by the governor of Bank Negara Malaysia, Tan Sri Noor Samsyah Muhammad Yunus. She said this during the launch of the financial crime exhibition on 26th December. So she introduced 5 initiatives. I think the first one would be to ask financial institutions, including banks and also e-wallets, to migrate from SMS one-time passwords to more secure form of authentication. So it could be like secure tag and all that's be integrated on a couple of online banking apps. Because I think, as we all know, SMS are not encrypted. It's actually quite easy to be spoofed. Yep. Also easily for other apps to gain access to. Because you look at Android, right, or even iOS, you can actually install third-party apps that grant access to your calls and SMS.
Yep.
And even if you connect to a car like Android CarPlay or Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you also grant access to SMS. Yep. So it's not very secure. And what we've seen from the recent scams is that some victims were tricked into installing malware, which gain access to the SMS. So that's one of the reasons why we can see a lot of scams happening. Yep. And the second step is to ensure financial institutions will tighten their fraud detection rules and to trigger blocking for suspected activities. So if there's some suspicious activities, the bank should be more proactive in blocking them and to alert the customers to prevent these scams from happening in the first place. Yep. So perhaps I would say, like, based on history, like, okay, you've been doing these kinds of transactions, but all of a sudden there's a big transaction, a weird amount that's happening at very odd hours, or maybe initiated at a different location. That should trigger the bank to think, hey, this is unusual. This is not something that's been performed by this user. So the bank should be proactive to block this transaction. Ask customers, is this a genuine transaction? Yep. Only after the customer verifies that, yes, this is the actual customer, then they can proceed with the transaction. Yep. We've seen that in credit card transactions before. So I think they should do that for online bank accounts as well. And the third is to impose a calling off period for first-time enrollment of online banking services or secure devices. So when you enroll a new device, they can't use it immediately. So there's a cooling off period. It's not mentioned here how long is the cooling off period. Yep. I reckon it could be like 24 hours or maybe longer than that. So just to ensure that, customers are aware. So imagine this. If you've been using, let's say, your private personal phone to authorize transaction, and all of a sudden a new device has logged in. The problem right now is that if a person has access to your account on another device, they can do whatever they want. Yep. But with this cooling off period, you can delay the scammers from taking action, and the actual owner of the account
can alert the bank.
Yeah, can be alerted by the bank, and then they have time to tell the bank, no, this is not me.
Yep.
It's like similar to what we discussed in the previous episode, whereby, like for example, Facebook, Instagram, or Google. If let's say a weird device has logged into your account, they ask you, "Is this you?"
Yep.
Yeah. Then you have
verify.
time to verify.
Yeah.
You have time to act on that. So it's good to have this thing, this step.
Yep.
And the fourth will be customers are restricted to one mobile or secure device for authentication. So you kind of have to, let's say, multiple device, only can have one device.
Yep.
So that's one good step as well. And the last is financial institutions will be required to set up dedicated hotlines for customers to report financial scam incidents, and they must be directed to a more responsive scam reports lodged by customers. So they need to step up their efforts to
At least educate,
to address
Yep.
reports and to facilitate efforts to recover and protect stolen funds.
Yep.
Because I think we've seen a lot of complaints that whereby when a victim complained to the bank, right? Okay, hey, my funds stolen. It's okay, you can make police report, submit report, and we'll see how lah, you know. And then some of them might say, but chances of recovering is quite low.
It's low because the gray area is that you initiated the fund.
Yeah.
You initiate the transfer. That's the problem.
And the thing is, I let some people complain that certain bank accounts, which I would say they probably most likely mule accounts, right? They are being used to collect these scams. And let's say there's so many people reporting, right? But yet these accounts are still operating.
Yeah.
So like, why don't you prevent it? It's like the weird part is, I think the police has like a database of mule accounts.
Of scam accounts, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you have the information on mule accounts,
Just stop it.
just stop it.
Yeah.
Why they say I need to have a mule account when you can stop these accounts in the first place?
I don't know. It feels to me like there is like a jurisdiction gray area where police can't simply stop or freeze accounts. They can't simply tell banks to freeze accounts. I don't know, unless they have like a case for it.
I mean, because it's suspicion, right? Let's say multiple banks have reported, hey, you know, a couple of my customers have reported that their funds got transferred to this account without authorization. The least the other bank could do is to freeze account and investigate.
Yeah, so if that happens so I'm not sure whether the people who are scam is doing the report.
Yep.
I have a very interesting like statistic saying that like a large number of people who've been scammed, a large number do not report simply because of the shame. And that's how, if you look at con artists and scammers, that's how they propagate.
Yep.
Because a lot of these scams go unnoticed. So I guess for Bank Negara for the PDRM to take action and freeze these accounts, yes, I know it sounds very easy to do. I don't want to think that the police is not doing their job, but I also think that there might be like some gray loophole that they're stuck in, that they cannot tell the banks to freeze the accounts. Like they don't have enough evidence or something like that.
But whatever it is, right, I think from the past experiences and from the reports we've seen, it looks like there's not enough effort from the banks. It's it's like your money's gone. Oh, sorry, you can make report, but we'll try to recover. But don't expect too much from it.
Yeah,
it's like at least they can do is take action, like report to the bank. Okay, hey, a lot of people report this account is doing suspicious activities, and Bank Negara as an authority, right, they have the power to freeze accounts if there's a split of any illegal activities.
I'm not sure,
like money laundering or that stuff.
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what power they have. I mean, it's not to say that they don't have that ability, but I'm sure there are checks and balances in place to say that it's not absolute. Meaning that, I mean, I don't want one day I have like a legit account. I don't want one day Bank Negara to just freeze my account on the suspicion of I don't know what. So I'm sure there is like a step that they have to take in place.
Yep.
But at the same time, I agree with you that I think more can be done, and I think this is a good step that for Bank Negara to put out. I don't know, now the way that you say it, it's more of a recommendation rather than like a law.
Yeah, because there's no deadline.
The banks have to follow.
Yep, exactly. There's no deadline.
So basically, my next question to you: do you think that this is a lip service rather than anything else?
For me, I would say it's a small step, but it's not something that I don't think is enough. But it's still an improvement.
I mean, it's okay. Here's where I'm coming from, right? And I agree with you, right? In a way that, okay, it's a small step, but it seems like it's more like nothing, right? It's a small step, but it's such a small step that it's like not moving at all.
Because there's no deadline.
There's no deadline, number one,
Correct.
and there's no law. Like it's not a law. It's not to say, okay, this is a must. And the funny thing is, where after Bank Negara's announcement, we only see 2 banks that say, "Oh, okay, we're now gonna stop using SMS OTPs, and we're gonna use whatever systems that we have." So Maybank has Secured You. I don't know what CMB has.
Something similar. Yeah.
It seems like very voluntary.
Yes.
There's like a number of banks and a number of digital and online financial services that should follow this recommendation, because you can still do online transactions and you can still do online payments.
Yep.
But they have not said anything.
Yeah, because I don't see like you mentioned, right? This is more like a recommendation than like you must do this by
to operate online. You must do these things.
Yes,
but no, these are the recommendations.
Yes.
So I don't know whether this is because Bank Negara doesn't have power, but they are the regulatory body for banks and financial services in the country. I think they can do so much more to stop scams.
Yes.
And they're not. And the more we look into this, the more we analyze this, while the steps or the recommendations are sound, the problem is in enforcement, right? And that's always the problem in this country. We have rules and law. Simple thing, no smoking, right? No smoking in eating premises or whatever it is, right? You go to some mama, people just have happily smoking there, and there's really not much you can do. So even with something that is law, the enforcement is lacking. This is a recommendation. What kind of enforcement is there? Because this is not any law or regulation.
But for me, it's like they could do more. Like number one, like we discussed earlier, right? They should instruct banks, right? Do not, in financial institutions, including e-wallet, do not send links in SMS. That's the bare minimum.
Yep.
And then they should put PSA, banks and financial institutions like e-wallets would never send you links. Do not click links to SMS. They should,
but it's more of, again, a recommendation to tell people don't do this or don't do that. It's just like what banks have been doing, police have been doing, or Awas scam, or beware of scam alert, blah blah blah. But day and day, more and more people are being scammed.
Yeah, there's so much to be done. Like we just recapped in previous episode about what the Singapore's Monetary Authority, MAS, basically their equivalent of Bank Negara has imposed after the OCBC whatever issue. So those are more clear cut. It's like these are things you need to do immediately, and which the banks comply.
Yeah. These are more recommendations. I mean, it's interesting that Bank Negara has put out these recommendations right after we talked about it in our episode last month. But as we peel the onion, we see that the best protection is actually you guys to like be very careful of what you click on and where you log in and stuff like that. We talked about make sure that you have VPN, and make sure that you don't click through links coming from SMSs. But I think because when we talked about the show last month, how we believe that this doctor got scammed was it could very well be from a SMS, from a link that's sent via an SMS, going to a CIMB spoof account.
Yep.
That looks legit, where she probably entered all her account details, or at least phone number details, and get the phone to allow for another phone to be verified, and the OTP was sent to that phone, and that's the scary bit.
I want to elaborate more on the migration from SMS OTP to more secure forms of authentications, because there is a concern as well if you look at it, because I think CIMB and Maybank, they've announced that they're going to migrate fully by the middle of next year, by end of June 2023. And there are some concerns as well, especially what about folks who doesn't have a smartphone? They don't have an app. Yeah, what happened to them? Because they still rely on SMS. And in fact, there's one comment which we saw saying that the best way to secure your account is to have a dummy phone, like a feature phone,
like a burner phone,
just to receive SMS, because you can't install any apps on it.
So that means you can't click through and stuff like that.
Yes, you can't click through anything. That's, of course, it's hassle, but but think about it. Think about the other generations who don't have a smartphone. They only use a feature phone, and they might only use their online banking on the desktop. So they use the SMS to authenticate.
Well, okay, so let's think about that a bit, right? So if you are only using a feature phone and you don't have WhatsApp or whatever, right?
Yep.
Number one, I don't know how you live in this day and age. I'm sorry, but I don't know. It's quite difficult to fathom that you can live in the modern country without at least having WhatsApp, because your kids or your friends want to contact you. So if you're running a feature phone to just receive SMSs, right, the likelihood of you banking online is almost, I am certain, zero.
Well, there are people who do online banking on their desktop. They don't use a smartphone. And because I do know that some people are scared of using their phones because they have the impression that smartphones are not secure. And that's why people use desktop web browser. And here's another thing. There are other alternatives to this authentication. Some saying that, some banks should just offer the
token thing.
Token thing. Yeah. I think HSBC is one of the first to give like this thing you touch your
keychain. It's like a small generator. LED calculator, like a calculator.
Yep.
But it just randomly generates numbers
based on time. Yeah.
And it's on your body.
Yep.
So it's with you all the time.
Correct.
But you risk losing that. So when you lose that, then it's more of a hassle. No, my thing is this: you can live in the Stone Age and get a burner phone and don't have all the smart features of a phone and don't have to click through a link or whatever from an SMS. You can do that. The problem with that is it does not open up. It doesn't open up possibilities for any enhanced functions and services that you can enjoy in today's life, right? So if you want to enhance your if you want access to enhanced services and capabilities, like for example, a Touch and Go app, right? I'm starting to use the Go Plus account, right? Put in some money there, whatever extra money I get, put it there for like my tabung, right? You can't do that on a desktop.
Hey, I think some of the online banking, the tabung feature is also accessible.
I know, but but I mean the convenience and stuff for that. So that's where I'm coming from. Okay, my point is that suggestion from the comment, I'm not sure if that works or not. I mean, if it does for you, okay, great. But the bottom line is the world will move on and the world will become more modern and more advanced and whatever it is, and it's a arms race, right? Banks will try to be more secure, but scammers will try to be more smart in a way, right? So the best way for you to prevent all this but still enjoy the benefits of modern living is just to be careful, seriously.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking for the obscure individuals out there, because there are people who don't trust online banking on a smartphone. There are people like that I know who don't use their apps on a smartphone because they feel like it's not stable. Like, what if I transfer halfway and data not stable and the transfer didn't go through, whatever. There are people who are really afraid of that. And remember the early versions of the apps, even like the May app, right? Initially, when you do online transfer, right, you can't print receipt, which is fixed right now, by the way. But this kind of issues, like you want to have the full experience, you need to go to online banking. So because of these frustrations in the early on stage, people just gave out an app. You know what? To be very assured that this transaction go through, I can print a receipt, I do it on an online banking website. That's why.
Yeah, okay. Well, I get that, but we go back to the Maybank example and the May app, right? Even now, Maybank is transitioning from Maybank to May.
Yep, correct.
Even for desktop.
Yep.
So they are also already moving forward.
Yep.
At the end of the day, there will be less and less banks that will be using all these older platforms because while people feel that using a desktop and not a smartphone is more secure, the reality of it is a computer is much more risky than a phone, if you ask me.
For me, it doesn't.
Because you don't know who's snooping. You don't know, and it's easier for you to click through like a. You don't need an SMS to click through a bad link. You know, you can just go to a website and or you can just go to Facebook and there's a weird ad. You click through. It's not targeted in a way that an online scam via a phone. If somebody wants to take your money from a bank, right? The bank that person has to spoof a website, has to spoof a URL, blah 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 blah. This one is just a couple of clicks and the thing will be installed on your browser and you're screwed.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking out loud because financial institution, I think I would say, right, among the different sectors, they have the highest resistance to change from customers. Because remember, like back in the days, right, when Maybank tried to revamp the new design, it took a while for people to get used to it. Okay. Because a lot of people are hesitant.
I mean, I'm not sure whether that's a good example because the Maybank to you new design was poorly done. When they first changed, the website, they did it cold turkey.
Yep.
And if you are a UX UI person or if you're designing website, whatever, that is the worst way to change a design. Design changes happen gradually. I mean, if you look at like iOS, is it still? Was it called iOS when iPhone
before,
first came out?
I think iPhone OS.
Yeah. So if you look at iPhone when it was first launched to what it is today, iPhone 14, iOS 16, you can see it's a completely different experience altogether. So the change happened gradual. The problem with Maybank was they changed it right away, but they learned from that quickly, and then they opted the change gradually. And I think they are doing that for May as well. So the change is very slowly. You look at Touch and Go, for example. So when Touch and Go launched their app, it's one of the worst online financing apps available in the country. I think we mentioned that numerous times. But the thing is, they looked at it and they improved. They looked at it and improved. They looked at it and improved. And then now it's I think it's probably one of the best financial apps in the country. It has everything. It has a tabung. It has Touch and Go. It has payments, rewards, everything.
Yeah, but the thing is, those changes are great for tech-savvy people, like us. But what about those people who are resistant to change? Like, for example, the older folks who feel like, I'm comfortable with using desktop web all the time, and then I like the old design. It works. Everything is just available. I know where everything are. And then suddenly there's a change. I can tell from these people, right? They'll immediately go back to the old version because they're so comfortable with it. Same goes with the 3G shutdown. There are people who don't want to change a smartphone. They say, I don't need 4G, I don't need a smartphone. But they need to migrate or else they can't use 3G, right? But there are 4G feature phone options out there. So they can still continue to do things like the way they used to be. Similar to online banking as well. And online banking is something that's crucial to them because that's their financial, payment system. So the thing is, the biggest concern right now is how do we migrate them over to secure platform if we're not using SMS. And that's the reason why I think Maybank and CIMB are giving them more time because they set a deadline of 30th June by middle of next year to migrate these folks over. So I think that's the biggest that's a challenge for them to migrate these older folks.
I think back to this thing, the show is saying that, okay, we need thank you Bank Negara for putting out these guidelines, but at the end of the day, these are just guidelines. Thank you Maybank for saying that they're going to move away from OTP, and CIMB also. But CIMB, please improve your apps continuously. I think you need a lot of work. But at the end of the day, I think whatever you guys are doing is still too slow.
Yeah, and what's the sad part about this? Regardless of whether SMS or secure tag or whatever security methods, right? This will still not address phishing scams because phishing scams they always prey on fear, right? So when they try to trick you and ask you to go to a website, agency, when they trick you to a website or a fake app, right? Which whether it's SMS or OTP, if you're tricked, you're gonna get that secure tag and put in the same page anyway. So you're gonna get fooled. So we still need more education from all parties about these phishing scams.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, Bank Negara made an announcement. Maybank says that they will also stop sending SMS messages via OTP via SMS. CIMB also said the same thing. During our break, I just got also a message from UOB Bank saying that they do not send links via SMS and they will not ask for banking details via their website. Or something like that.
But they still send SMS.
But they still send
the link
SMS.
Link in SMS.
I guess that's the reason why SMS is such a popular communication tool for not just banks, but for bills like TMB, Unify, whatever. Because it's the common denominator. But it is the least secure. So that does not mean that everybody's using it, that it's okay. So I think we as an industry, not us as an industry, the banking, finance, technology industry can do much better than this. And there's definitely a huge opportunity for you if you guys want to take up classes for old people to teach them how to online bank better. Banks should do that. They have tons of money, right? They should do the CSR to say, okay, from today until whenever that they're going to move to secure to you via May, right? They should run
campaigns, education programs.
Classes. Why you're not doing it, banks? Why? Why banks?
And here's a more aggressive way. Like whoever wants to open an online banking account, right?
You should pass the test.
You should pass the test first. Whether you have the right skill set and you know how to avoid scams, like a phishing scam exam. You cannot fish. Okay, if you fail, you don't deserve an online bank account.
Yes. If there is a bank that's doing this, right, I'm gonna take all my money and put it in that bank.
Yes.
Except for CMB.
Why?
CMB is terrible.
What?
Okay, that's pretty much it. We are also available on podcast, so if you want to listen to this while you go to work, come back from work or whatever, Just search for us. Let's talk about Soy Chin Chow on any of your favorite podcast platforms, and we're there. If you're listening to us on podcast, give us a 5-star rating because that helps the show a lot. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. Do give us a thumbs up if you like the show. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And your comments and suggestion. What do you think about what we talked about today? Have you been scammed? Had an issue with a bank? Can Bank Negara do better? Let us know in the comment section below. Similarly, if you're listening to us on podcast, we also want to hear from you. So if you have a voice note, drop us a voice note at
Let's talk about at soyachinchow.com.
Yeah. We'll be more than happy to hear from you guys. Okay? So that's pretty much it. This is me, Amin.
And this is Alex.
Catch you guys later. Bye.